With only 2 pennies left in her pocket, Miss Cayley chose to travel around the world. Was she mad? What challenges lay ahead? An old lady? On the morning I discovered that I possessed exactly 2 pence in the world, I naturally decided to go round it. The death of my stepfather had driven me to that conclusion. I had never known him. I had never even thought of him as anything more personal than Colonel Watts Morgan. I owed him nothing except my poverty. He married my dear mother while I was still at school in Switzerland, and promptly spent her small fortune, left entirely to her by my father's will, on the payment of his gambling debts. When that was done, he carried her off to Burma. When he and the climate between them had succeeded in killing her, he made partial amends by allowing me just enough money to send me to Girton, nothing more. So when the Colonel died, conveniently in the very year I was leaving college, and left me nothing but his accumulated liabilities, I did not consider it necessary to go into mourning for him. "Of course you will teach," said Elsie Petheridge, when I explained my position. "There is a great demand just now for high school teachers." I stared at her in horror. "Teach, Elsie?" I cried. "That is exactly like you dear schoolmistresses. You go to Cambridge, have the heart and life examined out of you, and then say at the end, 'What am I fit for now?' Why, to examine other people. That, my dear, is what our principal would call a vicious circle." I laid down the paste-brush. "No, Elsie, I do not propose to teach. Nature did not design me for a high school teacher. I could not swallow a poker if I tried for weeks, and pokers do not agree with me. Between ourselves, I am something of a rebel." "You are, Brownie," she answered calmly. "We all knew that long ago." They called me Brownie partly because of my dark complexion, and partly because they never quite understood me. "But if you don't teach," Elsie persisted, "what will you do?" "I haven't the faintest idea," I replied. "But whatever it is, I must begin this morning. I cannot live forever on your hospitality." "How will you find anything?" "By putting on my hat," I said, "and walking out." London, I reflected, is the greatest city in the world. It teems with accidents, chances, enterprises, and adventures. People meet in omnibuses who have never seen one another before, and who may never meet again, or they may pass the rest of their lives together. "Oh, Brownie," Elsie cried, alarmed, "you don't mean you are going to ask the first man you meet in an omnibus to marry you?" I laughed outright. "No, my dear innocent, I am merely going in search of adventure. What it may be, I have no idea, and that is precisely the pleasure." So, when the wall was finished, I put on my best hat and went out alone into Kensington Gardens. I am told that a girl of 21, with only 2 pence to her name, ought to have felt alarmed. I did not. Nature had given me high spirits, dark eyes with a twinkle in them, and the ability to ride a bicycle through traffic. I accepted my plight as an experiment. Kensington Gardens abounds in possibilities. I chose the long walk, and seated myself beneath an old elm. 2 elderly ladies sat beside me, very grand, very ugly, unmistakably aristocratic. They continued their conversation as if I did not exist. "Yes, it is a dreadful nuisance," said the elder, a lady with a Roman nose and a face wrinkled like a baked apple. But I could not endure such insolence. She described dismissing her maid with icy dignity. "But you go to Schlangenbad on Monday?" her companion asked. "That is the difficulty," she replied. "I must get there, and I cannot cross the Channel alone. English maids are useless abroad. French maids engaged in London are dishonest. Temporary maids steal one's jewel case. I will not take one." I saw my chance. "Excuse me," I said politely, But I think I see a way out of your difficulty." She nearly exploded. Then she examined me closely and laughed. "This is a public place," I added, "and I wish to help you." She turned to her friend. "The girl has spirit." "I am a Girton student," I said, "an officer's daughter. I have nothing particular to do, and I do not object to going to Schlangenbad. I will accompany you for a week. Salary is immaterial. My fare will suffice." She inspected me through her glasses. "German?" "Like a native." She laughed again. "What is your name?" "Lois Cayley." "Any relation to Captain Cayley of the 42nd? "His daughter." She softened instantly. "Very well, but I expect obedience." "For a week," I replied. Her name, she confessed reluctantly, was Georgina. So was mine, though I suppressed it. We agreed to start on Monday. At Charing Cross, I met Lady Georgina and took charge of her luggage. She fussed, scolded, and worried continuously, clutching her jewel case with grim determination. In our carriage sat a polished continental gentleman, Count de la Roche-sur-Loire, whose manners were exquisite and whose flattery was excessive. He fascinated Lady Georgina. He disliked me. At Ostend, I overheard him whisper to a shabby accomplice. My suspicions hardened. While Lady Georgina lunched, she entrusted her jewel case to me. I quietly removed the steel box of diamonds and replaced it with a sandwich tin. The Count attempted repeatedly to retrieve the case. I refused. At Maline's, he tricked Lady Georgina into changing trains, then pretended a mistake had been made. In the confusion, he seized the jewel case and leapt into another carriage as both trains began to move. "My diamonds!" Lady Georgina screamed. I produced the steel box. "He has taken only the shell," I said calmly. "The diamonds are safe." She hugged me. "My dear," she cried, "you are the cleverest woman I ever met. What shall I do without you at Schlangenbad?" Looking forward to Miss Cayley's next adventure? Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.